Hey guys, thanks for checking out the Bucked Up Podcast. If you wouldn't mind just hitting the subscribe button, like, sharing the video, we have new episodes coming out every Monday and Thursday. Enjoy. This episode is sponsored by Exotic Roots Hydro, which I have to give a huge shout out to. They are a huge supporter of the podcast, and I'm really happy to be working with them. If you're ever in Rochester, New York, and you need to learn about any of your hydroponic needs, go to their shop. You can follow them at Exotic Roots Hydro on Instagram. Shout out their whole team. They have an amazing venue space. They're going to be putting on tons of events. Just make sure to follow Exotic Roots Hydro on Instagram. And if you're ever in Rochester, definitely stop by. Let's get back into it.
It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you have fucked up.
Honestly, Iris,
Eccentric?
she can do what she wants. Yeah, I support her 100%.
The reason I wanted to talk to you, only one reason. I'm
just lay
asking
it
you a
out
single
there.
question and I'm leaving. I'm packing up and going.
I understand.
Was that you the first time you did stand up was like 14 or something?
I think I was 12 because it was 6th grade, and that correlates. Yes.
All right. How did you want to do it for longer? Were you just like, oh, that's something I do when you get up?
I don't know if I had ever considered it an option. Basically, the mechanism by which it happened was I was in 6th grade, and at this school assembly, they wanted to like add a fun kind of event. So they're like, we're going to host a comedy competition. And because I was annoying, I was like, oh yeah, I absolutely should do this.
Had you listened to it beforehand or anything?
What do you mean? Listen to comedy?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was a big. It's embarrassing because, but when you're a kid, you kind of like you don't know that many comedians. You just know the clean ones.
Mhm.
So I listened to a lot of like Ellen and like SNL with like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. And so, yeah, when the comedy competition came around, they're like, I decided that I would do it. And ultimately only 2 people signed up. So it was less of a competition and more of like just a showcase.
Who could bring more people?
Yeah, exactly.
It was just a bringer.
It would have been so sad if one of the kids was like, you lose, you win. Like, it's brutal. But it ended up being like, my school was like 900 people in the middle of school. So it ended up being like a big thing. And I practiced for a very long time.
Did you write your shit or did you have like?
I did, and you could tell because it was ass. It was really bad. Like 75% of the jokes were about like airplanes and my family.
No, oh my God. I did a show with this probably like 14-year-old the other day.
Incredible.
He was before me and I was like, God damn it. And he was actually so good. Not that I don't even remember his name, but he was really good.
Shout out to that kid. Who will rename.
But he did have this one joke where he's like, "You guys all know my mom." And I was like, "No, we don't know your mom."
Come on, Cheryl. You know Cheryl. You get it.
So I see. Yeah. So you did it, and then did you stick with it?
Yeah. So basically, what happened was I did it.
Was it like a calling thing? Like, were you like, this is it?
Oh, did I experience, rapture immediately?
Yeah.
No. Well, it was really fun. And I liked the validation of people being like, you were funny. Because again, I was annoying. But what happened was the principal was like, hey, great job, kid. Want to do this every single assembly? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because I wasn't self-conscious by then. I was in 6th grade and my prefrontal cortex.
Wait, I was very
developed.
Self-conscious in 6th grade.
I became self-conscious in 8th, luckily. So
wow. So you had 2 great years.
Yeah, I was riding really high for a while. Yeah, and so then it just became a thing that I did in school. And then when I got into 9th grade, I started going to like stand-up clubs in Singapore and that sort of thing.
In Singapore?
Yes, important context. I was in Singapore for this entire time.
Like an English-speaking school?
Yes, yeah. Also, the first language in Singapore is English because it was a British colony.
Oh, okay.
So, wow, fuck you, Sam.
You learn something new every while.
But yes, I was at an American school in Singapore.
And you were doing it. So you were hitting mics in Singapore.
Yes.
For a lot of, was it like a lot of like American audiences over there, or are you doing it for the local?
I would say it was like a pretty local audience. I mean, local in Singapore means like people from everywhere. So you've got like people from Malaysia and Indonesia and China and like kind of all over.
I'm just wondering how that would not stunt your stand-up, but did it like affect it?
Oh, I would say yes, in the sense that like, you know how like Boston comedians will like open with some jokes about Boston. Like I opened with a lot of jokes about like Singapore and then I came when I moved back to the States, I tried some of my Singapore material, which like really killed while I was in Singapore. And everyone was like, you can't joke about that. That's terrible of you. And I was like, no, I mean, you're right. Yes. But also I swear there's context.
When did you move back?
I moved back my senior year of high school. So I was 17.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, now I get why like in 8th grade you would start getting self-conscious and then you move back for your senior year of high school. Are you doing stand-up through all of high school?
No, I stopped my senior year because I moved back to Vegas, which is where I was born originally. And they're very strict about like 21 plus limits. So the nice thing about Singapore is the drinking age is 18. And if a bar serves food, like you can enter. So I was able to perform there. But when I got back to Vegas, it was like, nah, you got to be 21. So I stopped for a year. And then when I came back to college, I started again.
But you did it. Like that principal, that was nice of him. That was pretty cool of him.
Yeah.
Because we're so close to Johnny D's. I don't know if you've ever walked by. There's a sign for Johnny D's right up on the corner. Cool. It's a jazz club that they used to do comedy at.
Wow.
And it was 21 plus. And I literally, while I was parking, I was like, wait, I had this like deja vu moment because I wasn't allowed in. And I couldn't see, I was too scared to do stand-up. I would just go see stand-up every night. Like,
yeah, as people often start.
Yeah, exactly. But my dad would bring me to Johnny D's. And that's honestly where I met Sam J, who was like my first friend in comedy.
Oh my God, amazing.
She was like literally so supportive from like even before I did stand up. She was like, nah, just you'll get when the time's right, you'll start. And then like it's crazy to see her now.
Yeah, wow.
Like how big she is. But literally I had this deja vu moment at Johnny D's right down the street.
Wow. Wait, yeah, when did you start doing stand up?
So that's why I'm so jealous that you started early and kept
I would
going.
Not. I think it like stunted in the sense that my humor really needed to change by the time I was 18 because I was like, why don't people like jokes about my mom? Like,
oh yeah. But I still do jokes about my mom.
Your mom seems hilarious.
But when I was 16, I got in a hockey accident trying to impress a girl. And I just had to lay in a dark room for a month and I listened to stand up.
Whoa, no way.
And I met Jim Gaffigan on my 10th birthday. Like my parents took me to see him. So I always loved it. But after that accident, I was like, this is what I want to do. But I was too scared to do it because all the stand up that I like was so personal and so dark.
Yeah.
And I was like that, but didn't know how to portray it. So I was just angry. And so I didn't do it. I would just go when I was 17 or 18, my mom bought me a fake ID and I flew out to LA and
that's back up. Your mom bought you. That's very cool.
Yeah. To do stand up.
Oh, amazing.
To do stand up. And the first and third time I ever did stand up was at the Comedy Store in LA.
Oh my God.
I was like 17, 18, I think.
Wait, what was it like to do stand up for the first time at the Comedy Store?
It was Kill Tony. So it was 60 seconds.
Okay.
It was 60 seconds. But the first that I ever did was great. And like, Tony Hinchcliffe to this day will be when he sees me, like when I go to a show, will be like, hey, Sam. And like that is just like a nice moment. And like Brody Stevens, who is rest in peace, who was one of my favorite stand-ups, was there. And like Jamar Neighbors, who was my favorite.
Amazing.
So like that was really cool. And the third time it was in the main room, sold out. So that's like probably the most famous comedy room like in the world.
You shot up immediately.
Bomb my ass off in front of Steve-O. He yawns during my set. There's a video of him yawning while I'm doing stand-up.
I thought Steve-O would be kind. What? That's so off-brand for him.
And so after that, I was just like, fuck this. And I didn't really do it again. Like I would hit mics once every couple months.
I feel like they did not set you up for success. Did they know that was your first time? And then immediately were like, oh, this guy's got to come to the main room to bomb his ass.
No, it was it was chance both times. Wow. But Tony, after the first time, I was like, that was your first time. Keep doing it. But then I didn't do it at all for like 6 months until I went again. And then he was like, you haven't done it at all? Like, there's a reason you bombed. And I was like, oh shit, if I'm going to have to take it seriously, I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah.
So I didn't do it at all other than like once every few months I would bring friends to open mics and bomb in front of them.
I feel like I did the same. Like when I was doing shows in Singapore, I was doing like one show every 2 months and then like crying and then being like, I'm never going to do this
because you don't know. Like you don't know.
You don't realize you could do it 3 times a week and get better faster.
Exactly.
Like that just does not like.
And then senior year of college, this is how I've only been doing it serious not that long, but senior year of college, my teacher let me do the monologue class and do stand up instead of monologues. Cool. So I would do stand up for my class, like starting off.
Shall I compare thee to a summer's butt? Am I right? It was good, right?
Yeah, I think you can use that. I'm not going to take it, but you better do it.
I was thinking about that since you said a monologue class. I was like, oh my God, I need to get ready. I'm about to drop an incredible one-liner. But sorry, continue.
And then on top of that, she's like, if you hit mics outside of this, you can get credit for an independent study.
Oh, amazing.
Didn't hit Mike.
And you're like, no, thank you.
Got a C- in the stand-up comedy independent study.
That's embarrassing.
That's the reason I didn't graduate cum laude, is because of stand-up comedy.
That's symbolic.
It is.
The universe was like, do not do this.
Then right after I graduated, I was like, all right, now I'm graduated. I can do it. And I just went hard in the paint, hard like a motherfucker in the paint.
That's so interesting. That'd be like if a kid was like, I'm not going to study math in 8th grade. That's stupid. I'll start studying math when I'm 25.
Wait, that's literally what I'm saying. Why I'm so like, you just start, not that you, but you started for your age. That's like what you could do. I just like was pushing. And like my mom just saw me do stand up for the first time ever, like a couple weeks ago.
You gotta quit, Sam.
She loved it, but
of course she did. You're very good.
Well, I'm also very dark, so I think she was like, "Oh wow, like this is." She needed like, I need to prove to her that people wanted to see me. You know?
Yeah, no, that makes. And did she leave being like, oh, people want to see you?
Yeah. There's a video of my friend Shamil Kumar. Do you know him? Hilarious stand-up. So, no. He took a video of my mom watching my set, and I haven't been able to watch it. But
yeah, that seems like unique torture. I would not want to see that.
So you stop. Let's stop talking about me.
No.
You stopped.
Welcome to Bucked Up with Freddie Shanel. I'm interviewing Sam Buck today.
Just from this point on, it's just you interviewing all the rappers. Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah, that would be uniquely bad. But thank you for your confidence.
You stopped when you moved back to Vegas only because it was 21?
I think, if I'm being honest with myself.
Or is that resistance?
Oh my God. Ow. I mean, yeah, but did you have to say it?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say it was resistance. I'd say I was a little bit relieved when I got to Vegas that it was like, oh, there's a very clear stopgap and I like can't do this for a year and I have to take a year off. Because I think reasonably what happened by the time I was 7 years into doing stand-up comedy at the ripe old age of 17. Didn't do that math correctly. Is that I
go to Harvard. They're gonna kick you out if they see the math.
All right. I study history and literature and economics, which is a soft math. That is
the soft.
That's an easy math. But yeah, I think what happened was by the time I got to like 17, I really felt stuck. Like I felt like I wasn't getting better at all. And it felt like I was naturally, because I was going to one mic every 2 months. But I think when I got to college, for example, I was like very envious of people who seemed to like really know what they were doing immediately and have a very like mature style. Cause I was like, I feel like I can't reach that. But basically, yeah, when I went back to Vegas, I was like, oh no, I can't do comedy for a bit, but I get to keep my identity as like someone who does comedy. Yes, please. Yeah. So I stopped for a bit.
Why did you go to college?
Oh, well, I think on one hand, I want to be a well-rounded person, and I think that is like something that's important.
Do you want to be a professional person?
No.
Don't cry. Your voice
No.
Please, God.
Anything but that. I think I think a value that my parents have instilled in me very much is like education.
Yeah.
Like you can do what you want, you can have whatever career you want to have, but you're going to choose that when you have the option to do
That's
whatever
why I
you
waited
want.
until after I graduated.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also why like I chose not to study something like film or theater, which I think are like very valuable things to study, but instead was like, I'm going to study some like, some really difficult subjects like history and literature.
Were you open about wanting to do it, or were you like in the back
wanting
of
to
your
do
mind,
comedy?
like is that like, do you want to be like a stand-up?
I think yes, which is a big thing to say because I might fully fail at it, and that would be embarrassing in retrospect. I think so. I think I want to do like a bunch of I wouldn't say I just want to be a stand-up. I just really love writing and like all different kinds of comedic writing. And I think stand-up is like one of the most fun forms of it, just because the feedback is so immediate. Like you immediately know if a joke is really good or just ass. And I love that.
Not if you're as jaded as me.
And then you're like, no, it's the audience's fault. This joke is good. But yeah, no, I fully came to college knowing that I like hopefully wanted to do comedy. And that's part of the reason I chose Harvard, is because Harvard has like churned out so many great comedians. And I like read in Tina Fey's book that like the two, keys to becoming a comedy writer are like be an LA improviser or a Harvard boy. And I was like, I could be a Harvard boy. Like that's easy.
Yeah.
But I absolutely could not do. Yeah, I could not do LA improv. They're way too funny. Yeah. So
that was what I wanted. Have you ever done improv?
I am currently on an improv. I do improv. Yes. I just don't think I'm good at it. Like good enough to stand out in any sense. Have you?
Yeah. When I wasn't doing stand-up, I was doing improv every week.
Oh, cool.
I had like an improv troupe on Cape Cod that I was part of that like we would fill the place we had it in almost every week. So I was still performing. But right when I found weed, it was like improvs got worse and stand-up.
This seems like a dare ad. Say no to drugs, kids, or your improv will get worse.
Like that, if you don't smoke weed, improv is like the stand-up is the more weed thing.
That's
like,
such an interesting dichotomy. Improv is for people who
are
snort
nice.
cocaine.
No, improv is for like people who don't need to hide from the dark. They're like very it's like happier. Stand-up is, I feel like, a darker medium.
I would agree with that. I think that's true.
And I love him. Like Comedy Bang Bang is the podcast I listen to every week.
Yeah.
Paul F. Tompkins, which no one would ever like. When I tell people that, they're like, "Really? Like, do you like that?" But it's like, yeah, I love that shit. I love improv. But when I found weed, I became more like a stand-up and less improv.
You're like, I gotta tell the people about the darkness within.
Yes, for real.
You smoked one blunt and you're like, I think I need to express myself differently.
That is it. Yeah, because I don't know. Were you ever like an angry kid?
No. I'm sorry that you said that with like we were gonna bond for a second.
Yeah.
No, I was like on the complete other end of the spectrum where like as I got older, I was like, maybe things aren't as good as they seem. Like I think I was a really happy kid. And part of that was just because like my family life was nice. Sorry, I'm just bragging at this point. Healthy family. But yeah.
No, I get that. In my family life, like my parents and I both have a good relationship, but the childhood wasn't that great.
Yeah, were you an angry kid?
What'd you say?
Were you an angry kid?
Oh, yeah. But I didn't realize it until like way too late.
What do you mean?
Like, as you said, as I got older, I realized like, oh, the way I act is because of things I never dealt with because of when I was younger. And if I want to be an actual adult where people want to have relationships with me, either friend-wise or whatever, then I'm going to have to work on that shit because I can't lash out the way I do because I'm insecure or immature about other things.
That seems like a very mature assessment of the self. I might need a few minutes to myself just to process.
Well, that's why I started this podcast. Yeah. Like, I went through a breakup and I lost comedy I went through a breakup 2 weeks before quarantine hit.
Oh God.
And then I was like, oh, and she was like, yo, you drink too much, you're angry, and the people you're hanging out with aren't helping you.
Whoa.
And for like the first 6 months of quarantine, I was just still drinking. I would bowl every day, go to the, I was just like, I was a little sad.
Bowling as vice.
Dude, literally, I can't bowl now because I look at it like I was addicted to a drug. I'm
Wow.
like, I can't relapse and go back to bowling.
I
Like,
appreciate that is your experience. That's also hilarious.
I bought my own shoes and a ball. Like, I would go literally every day. I would skip other things just to go bowling.
Wow.
Because it was just like a way you could shut your mind off.
I have never considered bowling as the way to shut your mind off, but I am interested in this new perspective.
And then I was like, I really need to focus on my shit.
Mm.
And that's when I started this podcast. I was like, all right, I'm going to be open about my shit on camera.
I'm not going to bowl.
And I'm not going to fucking bowl.
The bowling
anymore.
stops here.
That's why fucking, oh my God. A girl asked me on like a date bowling, and the way I reacted, she never texted me back. I was like, I really don't think we should do that. She was like, all right, if you're gonna react like this to bowling, it's done.
Listen, I've been clean from bowling for 6 months now, and I simply I can't go
Stay
back.
off the ball.
For my kids, I need to be better. Stay off the ball. That's so funny.
No.
You see a pin and start shaking. A pair of slidey shoes, and there's no coming back.
Yeah. There's more to jokes, Drake, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, we should restrain ourselves.
I'm tying up that bag.
Yeah.
No, but it's like I don't know. I have an addictive personality. If you haven't told by the weed smell that I carry around me at all times.
Oh, is that not Calvin Klein? I thought
Yeah, Calvin Klein.
Calvin Klein
Skunk.
weed.
Yeah. But no, I try to get addicted to good things, but like then I'll have vices that are like addictions to like things like bowling. Or like I bought this Regal pass that you could go to the movies for $20 a month, however much you want.
Oh, movie pass. Yeah.
And I would go to the movies every single day. Like I got addicted to going to the movies.
That's a good financial decision. That's not an addiction.
I saw Cats alone in the theater.
That's an addiction. That is. You didn't mention that. That's how you know you've crossed the line.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah. I'm so sorry you were in that dark place.
It's such a dark place, like bowling and movies.
Yeah.
It sounds like
it sounds like a kid's dream. I turned 21 and immediately I got really roped into bowling and movies.
God damn it. And I want to be like video games or that too. Like but I was just living a kid's dream. I
had cotton candy every day and I had all the toys I could want. But deep down I was sad.
God damn it. What made you start back up?
Ooh, I apologize for making fun of your lived experience.
I'm never going to talk. This episode's not getting released.
This is too personal.
Yeah, this is. No, but what did make you want to start back up?
Oh, start back up with stand-up. Well, I think what really happened was I like really defined myself as like comedy had just become, because I started so young, comedy become the thing that I like did. Like I was just like, hi, I'm Freddie. I do comedy. And I think it was never an option to not start back up because I really didn't know what I would do otherwise. I was kind of like, this is my thing. This is why I make any friends. And like,
how did you feel saying you were a comedian when you weren't doing it?
Oh, I did not say that I was a comedian ever. I would just be like, oh yeah, I do stand up on this. I still don't say I'm a comedian. I think that's like a very scary thing to say.
Why?
Because I'm not. I'm a student, and it's not something that I do full time. It's not something that I've achieved any success in. And so I think
I don't know. I had a friend when I was growing up tell me like, don't say that you want to do comedy. Say you're a comedian, and then in your mind, it like. You start taking yourself more seriously.
That makes sense.
And it kind of like drills in where it's like, well, if I want to live up to this thing that I'm saying, then I actually have to do it.
That's smart. And that makes sense. It's kind of like how I've been like, I am not a bowler and I refuse to bowl and I will never start bowling. And then I fulfill that by not bowling.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's a confidence thing. I think I just have never felt confident being like, I'm a comedian, even though I have tried to do many different forms of comedy.
But when you weren't doing it, were you still like, I don't know, like when I was from 16 to when I was doing it, I was like, I want to be I would say like I do, even though I didn't, and it felt like dirty almost. I was I was like, oh, like I'm lying to people.
That's
even though in
fair.
my mind I believed I was,
Yeah.
I
think I was, so my senior year when I was not doing stand-up, I was doing a lot of improv and I was like on my school's like team and that sort of thing. So I think I like protected my self-identity in that sense because I could still be like, I'm doing comedy because I was still doing improv. But I think deep down I was like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever be good at stand-up to like do stand-up again. But
well, you are a well-rounded comedian in total. Like you write and you do improv and you do like you do a lot of different things that like all fall under the umbrella.
Yeah. And I think part of that is honestly a little bit of the insecurity of being like, if I want to like do comedy, I need to do all kinds of comedy. Like I need to do stand-up and improv and like write headlines for satire sites and like that sort of stuff. And anytime I feel insecure about one of them, I like really dive deep into the other just to prevent the like crisis of self.
Are you hard on yourself?
I'd say so, yes. Yeah, but I don't think I'm hard on myself in like a way that anyone else is not, or at least I assume in a way that like, are you hard on yourself?
Yes, but that's why I feel like the only reason things go well for me,
I agree,
is because I'm hard on myself.
I'm not like Sam, if you were ever easy on yourself, you'd go to shit.
That is true though, but
it's not true.
But it like, all right, you say that, but then you're sitting at a place where like someone had to say this to me the other day, and I'm going to say it to you.
Please.
Where it's like a lot of people would like to have like what you do because of the work you put in.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like a lot of people would like to have your discipline and your passion.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think passion is definitely something that I'm like grateful that I have.
And did like to do everything you do, you would have like a lot of people don't have the discipline or passion to get where like you are, whether it be writing for Productress, or like being in an improv troupe at Harvard or doing stand-up, like a lot of open up for Ronnie Chang, like it doesn't matter, but like a lot of people fucking would want that.
Welcome to Gassed Up with Sam, where Sam gasses up his guests.
No, but you being like, oh, I whatever, like that the hard on yourself is what pushes you.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's a mixture of like, I think it's good because I agree with you. Like, I think it is something that means that I'm not afraid that I'll ever stop moving or like stop trying to do comedy because I know that if I did, like no one else would hold me accountable, but I would be devastated and like very disappointed in myself. And then it's also something that I recognize as like something I probably need to get over a little bit, because I think if I want the confidence to be like, I am a comedian, I do comedy, like I want to promote myself, I want people to like come see shows and that sort of thing. You kind of need to have the confidence to be like, no, I'm doing it and I'm doing it well.
Yeah. But you're still in college.
I am still in college. Yes.
Like, as I said, I didn't even start till I was out of college. Like, you know what I mean? So like that once you're thrown to the real world, like outside of a structured like this,
for sure,
I feel like someone like you would thrive.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam.
No, I believe it. Like, I don't know. I, cause your stand-up was different since the first, like when I saw you at, what's that place?
The Bebop?
The Bebop.
Oh, the Bebop.
No, like, I don't know. You can tell when there's something, it's an energy thing. Where do you think that passion comes from? Like at an early age being like, if I stop, I'm dead in the water. Shark mentality.
Shark mentality. Interesting. I mean, I think I could ask the same thing of you. I feel like anyone who's like pursuing a creative career has a little bit of that, because you kind of have to, or else it's easy to just do something else.
Well, that's where like my spirituality kicks in.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. So I think for me, it's kind of been, I think it started out as insecurity of being like, I need to prove myself to people by being really, really good at something. And I chose that like, I wanted to be really, really good at comedy because that was the thing that I admired the most, and was like, okay, that's going to be the thing.
Do you think it was just random, or do you think like you were picked to put on the path?
I don't think I was picked to put on the path. I don't think it was random per se. I think it's like in the middle. I think I was a kid who like as as most like creative kids are, I think I really enjoyed like making people laugh, and also like the attention that came with that naturally. And I think it was like my primary means of making friends was like, okay, if I'm a 10-year-old who just moved to Singapore, like how do I cue people into the type of person that I am immediately, by making like too many jokes.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have 2 older sisters, Jordan and Danny.
Are you close with them?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So you weren't like a
very
lonely
close.
kid.
No, I think I wasn't a lonely kid, but I was very much a people pleasing kid. And I think I realized that the easiest way to please people is by making them laugh. And that is like an easy way to make them like you.
You also moved at very pivotal moments.
Yeah. I think I was lucky in the sense that I was like in each place for a long time. Like I was in Vegas for 10 years and then Singapore for 7, and then, like a little bit of a move back and forth. But yeah, I think it was like redefining yourself at 10 years old, obviously, is like kind of throws you for a loop, and 17 as well. And Singapore was a transient place too, where like people would really like live there for 2 to 3 years and then move in and out. So you were meeting new people all the time, and that sort of thing.
That is because like you have the improv mentality, but I'm trying to be like, what's the darkness that you want to do comedy? I'm like trying to figure it out, and I can't, but it's like, it's just me. Like that's, I'm just like the.
No, I think everyone's got this. I think for me, it's perfectionism. I think it was like I need to be a perfect kid. And the way that I become like the best version of myself is by like really perfecting comedy. And that was like also, I think that was it. So like the darkness is like, I need to be the best, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Do you ever write like dark personal jokes? Like, does your mind ever go that way?
Yeah, I think so. I think more so recently. I think for a while I like didn't really explore a lot of personal stuff in my stand-up. Mainly because I was like, I think I was afraid of what I would discover about myself if I looked inward too much.
Well, that's why that's the reason I didn't start so late, because I was like, I know I'm gonna fucking be a mess when I find out who I really am.
Exactly. So I think for me that was like I was gay. I just like didn't know it, and I didn't want to think about it. And so I like didn't really write about personal stuff. And then when I came to terms with like sexuality stuff, all of a sudden it was much easier to write from that place. And I think a lot of my jokes now
are you didn't
still
know?
goofy, but
like you didn't know?
I mean, I think I knew, but I didn't really want to talk about it.
Until how old?
I like my sophomore year of college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like really recent.
Okay.
I know. You look at me and you think, what? How did it take that long?
No, but all right. No. So your stand-up before, do you think, so after you got darker, like you were like, all right, I'll be real. Do you feel like,
I think darker, maybe not darker. I think it was just like more honest. And I think honesty a lot of times goes hand in hand with like a little bit of darkness.
Were you being yourself, or you were like trying to like pretend to be someone else?
Before?
Like the perfect kid. Like,
oh, yeah. Before it was very much the like, I'm just trying to be like I would write stuff that was not about myself really at all. I would make commentary on like things outside of myself. So it would always be like about my family or about like current events or living in Singapore. And it was never about like, who am I? What is my perspective? And then once I became more comfortable with myself through like growing up, that kind of came through more. But it's not necessarily dark. I think it's still like, I like to think of my comedy as like wacky.
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
Thanks. But I think it comes from like a more understanding place. I don't know. Do you feel like you have like your jokes now, would you classify them as dark?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Even because like, I don't know. I was like a lost kid, and you just did it. Like you came to like, I was a lost kid. And when I found stand up, I didn't want to like grab on until like I really did, which was way too late. And then I look at someone like Josh Mandel, shout out, and I'm like, okay, like I like what, and I hope he doesn't burn himself out, because like I'm glad you didn't burn yourself out, because a lot of kids at 10 will define themselves, and then like
I was very close to burning myself out for sure. Yeah.
Because like I define myself as like an athlete, and I sucked at sports, but I was just like, this is what a guy is supposed to be.
I will
like,
persevere.
Literally, like I'll be like a man's man. Like that was.
I tried to do that too. Didn't work for me.
No, and it didn't work for me. Like I don't know. Like I am who I am, and a lot of people don't ever come to terms with who they are.
Shit. I think that's true. Yeah.
and I don't, and that's where like, I don't know, that's where like when I found stand up, I was like, oh, that's who I am. And how else could I find that other than like a power that like is beyond myself?
Do you mean stand-up was the power beyond yourself, or
Yeah, like there's
spirituality,
something
or-
that had to pull me to stand up.
Mm.
Like, unless it's a perfect equation, but like, I don't know. Have you ever done hallucinogens or anything?
I have not.
Okay. So like when I did those, it opened up a big path where I was like, oh, maybe these things are leading me. There's
Oh,
like a
interesting.
greater meaning to all this.
Hmm.
And that gives me my like why I can never give up.
So would you consider that spirituality, or what would
Yes.
you call that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very spiritual. Like if
Huh.
I hate to say it because like people get all like weird, but like I kind of want to be like,
go.
no, but it is a weird thing because it's also I achieved spirituality through doing like drugs, and if you haven't done those drugs, then like you're just gonna be like, oh, those drugs made you think a certain way.
Oh,
So it's like I don't
Okay.
like to, even though I do, I don't like to put the two together.
I think that, I mean, I understand your thought process. That was not my thought when you said then you were introduced to spirituality through this thing, but I think that's still valid. Like the
Do you have
discovery
any
is
like
still there.
other? Do you like? Are you spiritual at all? Are you or atheist?
I'm
Are you...
Jewish. And I think I see Judaism as like a moral principle thing, like a
Mhm.
really great guiding kind of like spirituality force in my life. I wouldn't consider myself like conservative in any sense, but I like a lot of the teachings.
You are the Blue Lives Matter comedian.
Oh God, please don't say that. Jesus Christ. I am not.
If you listen to the podcast and took that seriously, then
If you listen to the podcast and the only phrase, this podcast is going to be 2 seconds long. And it's just him going, I'm here today with the Blue Lives Matter.
that's going to be the clip I cut from this
Oh,
episode.
God. Oh God.
No, but
Anyway, yeah. I'm coming back from that. I'm Jewish. I see that as like a set of guiding principles that I do adhere to. And I think I'm also very like culturally Jewish. I see it as like a community that I really like being a part of. But I think I see spirituality more as like, yeah, let's get into God. Why don't we?
Yeah,
I believe in the idea that there's like some underlying force that like has brought us to this very moment, just because the chance is not in our favor that we would end up exactly here. But I think I consider that to be like kind of a, I don't know what I think.
well, it's so dumb because like what you said is so dumb.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. That's
No, because whether it's an atheist person or a super spiritual or a super religious person, they all believe that like it's all from yourself. So like that's kind of like the believing in yourself is the most important part. Like no matter how you come
believe
from
in
it.
myself. I think of
Wait, do you not believe in yourself?
well, no, I believe in myself generally, but in a religious context, I think the idea of like an afterlife, for example, feels very self-centered to me. Because like the idea that there must be something for me beyond this life, I think is like it just comes from the fear
that's
of
dumb.
being insignificant.
But this life is for you.
Oh yeah, I think this life is for me.
Like
Yeah, I think there are just like so many chances that had to like happen for me to get to this point to like be alive and be where I am. That like, of course, this life is for me in the sense that like I think it's a mix. Like I think I can choose how it goes from here.
do you have like what you want to do with comedy?
Yeah, I expect it to evolve, but I think I want to do a little bit of everything in the sense that I like really enjoy the different forms. So I would love to write for TV maybe, or write for late night, or continue to do stand up while I'm doing that, or maybe do improv. Like I think there's so much about comedy is just fun for me that the idea of like the variety of different things you can do has always been really exciting.
Would you'd rather be a behind the scenes person, like a writer, than like
I mean,
the
I
person?
think a writer rather than a person.
in the spotlight.
No, I agree with that dichotomy. In this life, there are writers and there are people. You're one or the other.
Which one are you?
Yeah, I think I consider stand-up very integral to like, I love performing, and I think stand-up is where I get to perform. And I think I've accepted that like, I'm probably not a great actress. And I think stand-up is like the thing that I don't really need permission to do. Like if I want to perform and I want to write my own material and say,
oh, please let me perform.
Yeah, please, sir. More performance. More.
That's more time, sir. Please.
Another minute. I know I've run the light. Yeah, and I think stand-up is the thing that allows me to be like, you know, like when I got to Harvard and was still trying to like get into comedic organizations that would let me publish writing, the one thing I could always do was stand up. Like I didn't need anyone's permission to be like, I'm going to get on stage and tell these jokes.
Yeah.
So I think I appreciate that performance aspect and would love to keep doing that.
And do you see that life as a lifestyle you'd want to live? Like,
no. But God damn it, we're going to try. Yeah, I think
like you were saying, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, like were the people like,
yeah, when I was very young.
or like even Ellen, like she doesn't like.
Shout out to Ellen.
Shout out Ellen.
I don't want to be on record saying that Ellen is my hero because I think that has kind of come and gone.
The way you acted off camera, I would say she is.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person. That is not to make any commentary on.
No,
Ellen.
but would you rather have like that lifestyle of like a person
like
who writes
touring or
or do you want to be like a touring comedian?
I think I would love to not necessarily be a touring comedian. Well, I do love to travel, and I think part of living in Singapore like really instilled a love of travel. So I would love to be able to do that in some capacity. I think I also like the idea. I think what scares me about being just a stand-up comedian is the volatility of it, and the idea of like, yeah, sometimes you're going to be doing really well, and traveling and that sort of thing. And then you're going to go through these slumps and you kind of can't predict when that's going to happen. And so I think what I like about the concept of writing is that feels a little bit more stable to me to be a writer, which is notoriously not a stable career. But yeah, I think I would love to do each at different points in my life. Like I would love to tour at some point. I would love to be in one city for an extended period of time at some point. Yeah, how about you?
That's so nice. That's such a nice thought that you're like, I'm just like, you're gonna be grinding until you're dead.
I'm telling you, there's just like flowers in my brain. Things are good.
French art museum.
Yeah. Yeah. Sam came in and was like, "Is your art French?" And I was like, "I got this from the internet." It's absolutely not French.
No, but I get that with this podcast. Like my stand-up, like you didn't know me, but like before. I had nothing before quarantine. I know, but like the podcast was really the thing that like has gotten more recognition, and it's proven that like, oh, I don't know, like this. Now I have two things. Before I thought stand up was the only thing I was gonna do forever.
Ooh, yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, this is like I can do both, and they work so well together.
Yeah, for sure.
And now the podcast makes people want to go see me do stand up.
Yeah.
And then stand up people are like, oh, I want to go listen to him do talk.
For sure.
So and I love talking.
The way you got extremely serious before you said that.
No, but I love conversations and meeting new people, and like that I could like. Not for nothing. It would be weird if I was like, "Hey, let's go get coffee. I'm gonna talk at you for an hour." Like,
welcome to the podcast. You're not gonna say anything.
Yeah, but now because there's a microphone and headphones, like I can ask you questions I'd like want to ask you.
Oh, interesting.
Anyways, and I don't feel weird about it because it's like
could have also just talked, Sam. It's
I know, but I can't. Like,
no, I get.
I literally can't speak. I don't know if you heard me before the podcast, but I was mumbling and stuttering, and I like, it's like I almost can't speak properly unless I'm like, know that I'm being watched.
Oh, interesting.
Like that makes me, I was about to say that turns me on, but that's not what I meant.
On camera.
No, but
thousands of viewers.
No, but I don't know, just podcasts help me out so much, so I like that.
Yeah, no, that's great. I also think there's something to be said for like, from a really academic perspective, like a diversification of risk. Like if you're doing, if you're just going for stand up, great. When your highs are high, you know, you're gonna be like incredible, but when your lows are low, you're gonna get like fucked. But you know, if you've got a podcast to smooth things over, and yeah, the audiences absolutely feed each other, and like I'm sure the skills are also so transferable.
Yeah, and it's also like you have a lot of stuff going on. No one's just gonna make it with stand-up. Like even just stand-ups. That's what I feel like a lot of people don't realize. The second I started this, like I got booked to do shows in Buffalo for 500 people, or Rochester at an event with 4,000 people, or like I get invited these places that if I was just doing open mics in Boston, none of that shit would ever happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also no one, I don't know.
No, say it.
Like stand-up fans are so, how many people like that do you know that love stand-up, go to shows all the time, that don't want to be a stand-up? Is pretty rare.
Very few, yeah.
So you have to find fans that aren't stand-up fans that like your stand-up.
That is a hot take, yeah.
So that's like what I realized is like, oh, the event in Buffalo, everyone was there for a rap event.
Yeah.
But I put an hour and a 15-minute comedy show on before the rap show, and everyone killed. And then all those people were like, this is what comedy is? We never went to a comedy show before. Like,
for sure.
That's the growth that I like.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm really
I don't know how we went on that, but no,
I loved it.
but you have other, like, you're right. Do you have, is your name on the shit you write for Reductress?
Yeah. So I write for Reductress. I wrote a bit for the Lampoon. I write for anytime stuff gets rejected, I put that on different sites or on my Twitter. So there's like,
what's your website?
Oh, my website is freddieshanel.com. And I put it up because I was like, I should probably tell people how to contact me. But yeah, I think I tried to, that actually arose because sometimes with Reductress, if you like submit a headline that someone else writes, because you're just a headline contributor, it won't get attributed to your name. It'll be attributed to editor. And there were a few headlines where I was like, oh man, I kind of liked my headline there. Yeah. And wanted to show my mom that I was doing well. So I was like, I guess I'll put these on the site.
Does that help with your stand-up?
So far it hasn't. Well, do you mean writing satire or like,
I don't know, connection wise? Not
yet.
How did the opening for Ronnie go?
Oh, it went super well. Also, that was like, I'm in the stand-up comic society at Harvard.
How many people are in the?
It's quite a few.
And how many people performed at that show?
I think 5 or 6. I think what happened is the Weatherhead Center for International Affairs puts on like a show every year where they bring in a different comedian. And this year it was Ronnie, and they always have the Stand-Up Comic Society.
But not everyone performed.
No, not everyone.
So you are fucking.
All right, you got me right. Listen, I'm just trying to shoot myself down. Will you not let me have that?
I'm trying to Simba lift you up.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this being like, wow, why do I feel better about myself than I
That's what I hope for.
Thank you. But yeah, so I think there's been like, those things definitely feed each other. Like, I think it gives me a little bit more credibility in any one instance that I've done like a little bit of each. Yeah. And I think like writing comedy makes my stand-up better because you learn about like things that stand-ups also learn about, like joke density and like escalating premises and like really hitting the game, you know, like all of those.
I don't know what any of those are. I'm just kidding. It's so funny when you say those words. It's like, at first I was like, wait, I don't know those things. I was like, wait, that's just a smart way of saying the stuff I already know. Yeah,
it means you hit the same thing over and over and over again. I've just over-intellectualized it to the point where it sounds like I'm an asshole. That's my area of expertise.
Comedy is a math, and that's what these people don't understand.
Yeah, when you think about it, you got to take the derivative of the setup in order to really hit it home. Just some math terms. It's a motorcycle outside. But
I thought it was a hungry man.
I thought it was myself letting one loose. Anyway.
What do you have coming up?
Oh,
we're wrapping this shit up.
Sure, yeah. Oh, Sabrina Wu, who you know, maybe from the Boston scene, who is now in New York. They are hosting a New York Comedy Festival show called Sabrina Wu and Friends, awesome. that I will be on.
When?
November 14th, and tickets are available online. it's in New York at Union Hall, I think. Which
Oh,
is very
really?
exciting. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, they were-
Congratulations.
They were very kind of bring me on.
That doesn't matter. It's still.
Thanks.
You
I'm
need to
excited
stop
about
being
it.
so goddamn hard.
You're right.
She wouldn't ask no anyway.
But yes, they're very talented. I'm very excited to see them again.
Yeah.
And so that's on the 14th. And the Roslindale show and Angela's Roslindale show is on the 21st. Those are the shows that I have coming up right now because I'm working on my freaking thesis until then.
And where can people find your writing?
My writing is online for my headlines conclusively, you can check FreddieShanel.com. I also write for this magazine called Peanut Kid. That is like a queer feminist zine that I founded with a bunch of my friends
You
at
founded
Harvard.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been pretty
We
fun.
didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, we did not. I forgot about it for a hot second. Shout out to Peanut Kid, peanutkidmag.com. It's very funny. And Twitter, I guess, Freddie_Shanel. I think that's it.
I
And
don't use
Instagram.
Twitter.
Really?
Mhm.
I feel like you would do so well on Twitter.
I feel like I would too, but
You should.
I
should
don't
try
like
it
being
out.
on my phone.
Yeah, that's probably good for you. Yeah.
But I spend like, it said 7 hours average last week a day.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
You think I should add Twitter to that?
I was about to be like, oh man, if you're not on Twitter, do you just spend 7 hours bowling a day? Like it's really.
That's it. This podcast is over. All right, thanks.
Given me so much ammo.
No, thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
I'm happy we got this. Good
Yeah.
luck on your thesis.
Thank you. It was so great to see you as always.
It was great to see you. Bye,
Awesome.
everyone.
Goodbye.